frankly, all businesses need this. You see, if you run a website, run ads, or work with businesses that do, you absolutely need to hear this. Most businesses think they're compliant, but they're not. Google's Consent Mode V2 is now in full force. GDPR, CCPA, and other regulations are cracking down hard. And here's the scary part. Even some so-called compliance tools are already out of date. Now here's the rub. If your site isn't handling consent the right way, you could absolutely lose ad tracking, get penalized, or even face legal action. And that's where Complyfi comes in. You see, with Complyfi, you could have a website fully compliant in less than 60 seconds. There's no loopholes, no outdated tools, no tech skills required, just full, up-to-date compliance that meets Google's latest requirements, plus GDPR, CCPA, and more. And here's the best part. You never have to worry about compliance again. Complyfi stays up to date with the latest regulations automatically. So there's no stress, no scrambling to keep up with changes. We handle that for you on our end. Now, right below this video, you'll see two options. Complyfi Elite, which is perfect if you just need to get your own business compliant, and Complyfi All-Inclusive, which includes all kinds of stuff that you'll need. The ultimate commercial package with reseller rights are included as an example, and that lets you sell Complyfi to businesses and keep 100% of the profits. Now, if you want to see the full picture, watch the webinar below. On this very page, we break down everything you need to know about compliance. We show you Complyfi in action, and we reveal how you could turn this into a serious business opportunity. Now, this is happening now. Don't wait until it's too late. Choose your Complyfi plan below and get compliant today. It's 2025, of course, and the world is changing, and we all know that, but it's changing in some interesting ways when it comes to data security and privacy, because they're now required at a global level. Almost everybody, places like the USA, the EU, Canada, Japan, Brazil, South Africa, India, New Zealand, and almost everywhere else are asking for compliance. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's go over that. New, stronger standards are being created globally. Site owners worldwide are at risk, and most people don't have a clue. In fact, the majority of websites worldwide are missing the most vital compliance. It's estimated that more than 95%, 19 out of 20 websites don't have what's called a cookies policy, which you will be very familiar with in just a minute, that complies, a cookies policy page that complies with GDPR as an example. Many businesses have not updated their tracking code to adhere to the new standards. And standards and acronyms like that GDPR, it stands for, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, because you see the acronyms change all the time, are constantly changing region by region. And it's making it impossible for businesses to keep up because it's different for each different country. Now, without the right compliance, the big thing that we're going to really hammer home today is the lost ad revenue. Google is turning you away with all their analytic tools, and the worst case scenario, penalties and fines come out of this, and it really is a shame without the right compliance. But they are all missing consent compliance. Now, before I go any further, Cyril is here, and I want to introduce him. Cyril Gupta, I've worked with for years. He is such a mastermind when it comes to, AI and video and anything that has to do with YouTube and blogging, but also website security and compliance. Cyril, could you explain what consent compliance is in a nutshell?
Absolutely. Thank you, Todd, for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, speak
I
up,
like to
Cyril, so
think
we
of
can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Am I clear to everyone? I just want to make sure that people can hear me
Yeah,
clearly.
just stay close to the mic and you'll be fine.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I'm just gonna turn my mic up a little so that we can. Yep, I should be pretty loud now. Awesome. So thanks for the wonderful introduction, Todd. Really appreciate it. Now, I gotta say that I think of myself as a tool maker, and I make tools for all sorts of dishes. And I'm a technical guy. I like to really go deep into whatever I study and do my best to understand the topic. So yes, compliance has been one of my tools that I or one of my niches that I've been deeply interested in. And years ago, I released another tool when GDPR just came in. I released a tool to help people with that, but it was only for WordPress. Now, this is quite an evolution. Since then, the world has changed a lot, Todd. And now data privacy is the most important concern, not just for individuals. I know we are all worried about data privacy, how websites are using our data, what sort of tracking they're doing to us. And we've always been concerned about how people are using tracking to target us with very accurate ads and how much data they have about us. Well, now these concerns are at a national level. Every single country in the world, you gave us quite a list, but I'm going to tell you this is not exhaustive. Nearly every country in the world, maybe save for some really small countries who are still about to catch up, is absolutely paranoid about their citizens' data, and they're enacting laws preventing people from using that data, from getting hold of that data without consent. And that's why we have all these laws that have come up. That there is a DMA which puts onus on the marketplaces. There is GDPR. There is consent compliance. There is something called the cookie law, and lots of other things that have come up. And they have created an environment where consent is an absolute requirement. So that's why I'm sure you've noticed when you go and surf the web, more and more websites that you go to, especially ones that deal with money, especially ones that deal with information, that let you log in, that let you do something on them, ask you before you can start browsing them, hey, we use cookies, do you wanna do you want us to use them, or do you allow them? And it's important in more, there's more ways than one, because if you don't allow usage of cookies, very often you can't even use the website. And there is a reason. Nobody wants to prevent you from using the website, but this is the law, and everyone is required to do so, to make sure that if they're going to put cookies on your computer, you must know about it and you must consent to it. And as Todd pointed out, there's a legal question. Of course, you are required by law to do this, but there is also a business question which is very urgent, because here is the thing. You have companies like Google, Microsoft, you have Facebook, Meta. All of these companies, they have been classified as gatekeepers. They are the custodians of data. They are the companies who often hold on to your data on your behalf, and then they are able to let marketers or let advertisers like us use that data to reach our ideal customers. Now, the law says very clearly that you can't do that unless you have consent from that customer to be sold to or to be remarketed to. And that's why Google, so, last year, actually this happened last year, Google made a rule in which they will not even allow you to retarget or remarket unless you collect the consent from your customer. So that's why you need to have a cookie consent banner on your website, and it needs to implement something called the Google Consent Mode V2. Well, this is new, guys. If you've been using something that's a year old or 2 years old, I'm going to tell you this: they don't implement Google Consent Mode V2, and they're not helping you at all. It's just like not having it on your computer or on your website at all. So with Google Consent Mode V2, Google receives signals. So whenever somebody opts in, Google gets to know, hey, this person has opted in for the cookies, and they've opted in for the marketing part. So now we can remarket them. Now we can retarget them. So that's the only way to build your retargeting list, to build your audience list. Otherwise, Google will not use the audience that's coming to your website, whether it's Google Analytics, whether it's Google ads pixel that you've put in. Google will not use this data at all, and your ads will be shown according to the algorithm, but not refined to your audience. And that's a big loss. Honestly, that's what brought me into this world of consent compliance all over, because I run a lot of ads on Google, on every platform, on Facebook too, and all of these platforms now require consent. So when I saw that how much I was going to spend on, just getting this feature on my website, I decided that it's time to roll out something on my own, and also make sure that you bring it to everyone at a price and at a level where they can afford it and even sell it and benefit from it. So that's the story behind this consent compliance, and I hope it's a little bit clear, but of course I'm going to come back in later and at the right time and tell you more about this.
Yeah, and I can make this all clear for everybody with our next slide. Who here has ever seen a cookie pop-up? Give me a 1 in the chat bot if you've seen one of those pop-up things that look kind of like this on the bottom. Cookies on your computer allow for tracking and retargeting. Therefore, users must give their consent. Now, how many people? Give me a 1 if you've seen this kind of thing when you've browsed the web. Okay, so you guys, dozens. All right. Give me a 2 if you've never seen that. If you've gone to websites and you have not seen the request for your consent to cookie you. All right, so there's nobody. So you know how you're familiar with it, and as soon as you explain this to a business, which I'll talk about later, they'll be familiar immediately with it, okay? Keep that in mind. So you're starting to notice them more and more because, like I said before, it's becoming mandatory. There wasn't one person here on this webinar that hasn't seen that. Here's an example of how the world is changing with regard to consent compliance. We now have Google Consent Mode version 2. Now, that's what Cyril was talking about just moments ago. It lets people choose what information they share. Google then adjusts what advertisements they show people based on their preferences. Now, you're probably thinking like I did, that doesn't make any sense. How could they show you a different thing if you've said that you don't consent? And it's because there's a third option, and that is to consent to part of it. Every Google advertiser needs this for remarketing. There's no question about that. Microsoft and other companies are also implementing similar standards. We're just really zooming in on the Google consent thing because the Google ads that so many people use are going nowhere if you aren't utilizing this. And this is what you and businesses need to understand. You see, you could be spending money on Google advertisements, and guess what? They're not even being shown to your desired audience due to the non-compliance. Can you believe that? The nerve. You're spending money on Google ads and then they don't show it to the audience. No wonder the ads are going nowhere. And why are 95% of the people that are using ads on Google running into this problem with Google Consent Mode V2? The reason that they will run into this problem is because 95% of them don't have the proper software to produce that consent form. But it's not just cookies. Your business needs to be compliant with, well, yes, cookie consent, like we just went over, also known as e-privacy directive mandates businesses to collect visitor consent before cookie tracking. We just talked about that. But then there's also the GDPR law, which stands for General Data Protection Regulation. That's a strict law that mandates businesses to give control over user data to users. And then there's something called DPO. That requires you to appoint, get ready for this, a data protection officer and provide their contact details on your website. You see how hairy this is getting? So non-compliance puts businesses at risks as well as limits your opportunities for marketing and growth. There's no question about that. Now, obviously, I could just be talking about you right here, right now. But it's not just you, because even though you may be feeling stressed out about this, first of all, we have the solution for you. You're in the perfect place. And second of all, this is a huge opportunity. This is, this is the fear of loss that, businesses will have. This is an opportunity for you to help businesses become compliant and make recurring income from that. You see, there's something called loss aversion marketing. You think of it as FOMO, fear of missing out. Very similar. Loss aversion marketing is a psychological principle that motivates people to take action because of fear of losing rather than gaining something. And this is, first of all, very understandable to all businesses because, as you saw moments ago, almost everybody has seen this little cookie form. They just don't have it on their website, but almost everyone has seen it. In fact, you saw it on our site when you were signing up for the webinar, right? You're familiar with it just from that alone. So they don't want to lose the ability to advertise. They don't want to gain the opportunity to get sued or to get fined or even get their business shut down in the worst case scenario. They don't want that. That's fearsome. And that's why this, if you do sell to local businesses, is more handy than anything that I could think of that we've presented before. There's been a lot of things that Cyril and I and Peter Beattie and I and others have explained to you is great to sell to local businesses. We've done that time and time again. But this one deals with loss aversion marketing. People are already charging, believe it or not, upwards of $40 a month regular income for compliance management services. And even though we're at the tip of the iceberg here, this is just the beginning. You could be walking into an incredible opportunity with this. This is a $1 billion with a B dollar market. You're in the perfect position to capitalize on it because we have the perfect software for you. It's called Complyfi. It's the ultimate consent management platform. With Complyfi, you could become compliant in less than 60 seconds. 60 freaking seconds. One-click automation. You don't need to know the nitty-gritties of any laws. It adheres to all the regulations from cookie consent to consent mode. Complyfi meets all the requirements, and it's easy to integrate the pixel. Now, I'm going to bring back Cyril to explain what the heck is that, because when I first started, I was so confused by that whole pixel thing. Cyril, explain it to us like we're kindergartners, because not every one of us here knows about the Complyfi pixel and what that is. If you could explain that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Todd, it's as simple as putting up a Facebook pixel on your website. So here is the thing. You need to put Complyfi on your website. It needs to be able to show something over your website. And to do that, we use the same technology that Facebook uses, that Google uses. So when you integrate Facebook pixel on your website, it automatically modifies something on your website. It automatically detects the people who come to your website and tracks them. So does Google. And we use the same tech to bring a compliance bring a compliance pop-up to your website, and also let people manage their consent, and also send Google back the information that they need to track your customers, with permission. So we have the same tech. It's called the pixel technology, and it's just one line of code. That's how simple it is. You don't need to really rack your brains and worry about how to integrate it, or even get a programmer or a designer. If you've been integrating Google Pixels or Analytics code or Facebook Pixels, you can just do this. Now, before I go, Todd, I want to talk a little bit about what has changed. And some people have been saying that in 8 years, a lot has changed. But if you've not been using something that's top of the end, today's laws are a lot different than the legal system about 10 years ago. Then data privacy was just a beginning concern, and today it's a lot more. And that's why this is the only tool that has consent management, and it has Google Consent Mode V2, which is absolutely new, and you can implement it within 60 seconds. Maybe we can talk about later about the changes, but right now I just want to point out the pixel integration is just one line of code that you need to put on your website, and you can just be compliant.
Got it. In fact, I think we should show folks a demo that you did that's going to really explain the whole thing from top to bottom. So why don't I do that? Why don't I call up the demo? Let's see. I'm going to switch over to the video. And we'll watch that. It runs about 10 to 12 minutes. And then after that's over, we'll continue with Complyfi.
Nowadays, when you browse the internet, you always run into pop-ups like these, which inform you that the website uses cookies and maybe even gives you the option to select what kind of cookies they can put on your computer. And you can choose whether you want to allow the cookies, whether you want to choose which cookies you want, or deny everything. Well, this is called consent management, and it's the most important thing right now for you if you are an online business to be compliant with, because this will help you make sure that you can run your business online without any problems. At this point, consent management or consent compliance is required by law under many international legal frameworks, including, of course, the GDPR, which was the first one. But then in every single country, there are similar laws that ask you to make sure that your user is aware that you use cookies, and also you have collected consent from your visitors to put cookies on their computers. And of course, this also affects everything you do, including your Google ads and ads on other platforms. So if you're running ads, to be able to create remarketing lists now, if you remember what's remarketing, it's retargeting. To show them ads about your products, you need to collect consent from them. And on Google, this is called Google Consent Mode V2. So you're required to collect consent for ad personalization, without which Google will not let you collect data and let you create remarketing lists. Microsoft also has similar systems. They have something called the Microsoft Consent Mode, and they will not let you run retargeting. They will not let you collect data in remarketing lists and collect data about conversions if you have not collected consent. So how do you manage consent? How do you collect consent? Well, this is done by something called the consent management platform. And Complyfi is the most powerful consent management platform out there that gets you in compliance with all those laws, including GDPR, something called the cookie law, the CCPA. There is a similar law from Brazil called LGPD. There is the Privacy Act in Australia, PIPEDA in Canada, POPIA in South Africa. In fact, every country from Japan to India has similar laws, and Complyfi gets you in compliance with all of them, including Google's Consent Mode V2 and Microsoft Consent Mode and all other compliance requirements from all other platforms, to make sure that you can run your ads, you can conduct your business without any legal consequences and without any business or profit consequences. So let's get into Complyfi and take a look at its powerful features. So the first thing, of course, you do is add your website. Just add your domain by typing in your domain name like a title, and then you can just put in your website URL and click on add website. The next thing Complyfi does is pull out all the data from your website and check what cookies you're doing. So I've already added Technique Force, in fact, and I'm going to click on it because it's easier to show you that way. Technique Force has been added, the website URL is there, and then you can immediately access all the other sections like the consent banner. This is the banner that shows up on the website, and it's completely modifiable. You can change anything about it, like the title. Either change it on the left sidebar, which is provided to you, or just click on the item itself, click on the banner itself and change anything you want. So you can make it the exact way you want. On the sidebar, you can also select the language. So we support English and of course all the prominent languages from Europe where the consent laws and the GDPR is really, really big. You can make your consent pop-up appear in any language, and we have defaults, so you can choose to go with our defaults, which are suitable for most purposes, but of course you can customize them any way you want, just the way I showed you. So you have everything over here. For example, if you want to change the message to our site uses cookies, or absolutely anything you want. So you do it here or do it on the sidebar, it's up to you. Plus it has every feature you require to set up the correct consent pop-up for your website, and you can select anything. For example, if you want to go for vital analytics and marketing cookies, or if you want to introduce settings cookies, you can do that just by a single click like this. And you have a new section over here. You can also put in ungrouped cookies if you want to. So anything that you need to do on your consent pop-up is absolutely easy inside of Complyfi. Change the message any way you want. Plus, you can also disable and enable checkboxes. So for example, vital cookies are something important and you don't want people to be able to disable it. So you can disable it, and people will not be able to turn off vital cookies. So it has got all the nuances covered like that, right, for every single category. And you can change the message that introduces the category. So if you have something specific you want to say here, absolutely you can do that. Plus, Complyfi also supports privacy policy link. You can either show the privacy policy or decide not to show it, and depending on the jurisdiction that you want to cover, you can choose what buttons to show. So if you want to show only the accept button and force people to allow all cookies, or you want to have allow all or decline, or if you want to let people customize the cookies, all of these options are available to you. Plus, you can decide exactly what jurisdictions to show them a particular setup. By the way, we do support customization of the templates, and we have a number of templates. We're gonna have more than 50 templates over here, and you can change the templates with just a single click and preview your compliance consent management box in the template that you want to choose. So you can go for the template that suits your website, that gels with your website, and that will look good on your website. So I'm gonna go back to deep navy blue. Plus, it also has in-depth customization through HTML and CSS. Yes, you can modify the HTML and you can modify the CSS file to get the exact look you want. So if you are technically oriented, or you have a tech team, or you have a designer, you can give them access to the CSS and the HTML and they can create the exact look they want. So that's also included. And you have multi-country compliance. You can choose to show a particular setup in a particular jurisdiction. Let's say you have created a consent management pop-up only for Africa. You can choose that. And you want to show a different pop-up in Europe and a different pop-up in North America and South America. All of that is possible. You can choose where you want to show each pop-up. And yes, you can have multiple pop-ups on your website, one for Africa, one for Asia, one for Europe, and people who come to your website from these different places will see the pop-up or see the consent experience that you have crafted for them for that particular region. That means you have complete control over compliance. You don't need to show it where you don't need to show it, and where you need to give people complete control, you can choose to do that. Plus, it has consent method management. You can choose for implied consent or explicit consent as required by law. Again, the defaults are set up and all done for you. The number one thing you need to remember is if you go with the defaults, you will cover things globally and you won't need to do a very detailed setup. But if you want to do a complete specific setup, that's absolutely up to you. By the way, it's all about cookie consent. So Complyfi automatically detects the cookie that your website is using, automatically categorizes them, but also lets you change anything you want. So if you want to change, let's say there is a cookie that you're using and you know it's for vital and not marketing, you can recategorize that cookie, right? And it will be changed. So that way you can manage when people consent, what kind of cookies are conserved and what kind of cookies, if they don't want to accept those, are declined. Plus, you can also add your own cookies and also put the category that you want to choose for it. So again, it's for people who understand what cookie consent compliance is specifically for their website. Maybe you have a custom login experience. Maybe you have something specific going on with the cookies. Then you have got a custom website. You can put in your own experience, put in your own cookies over here and give people the option to manage them. Then you also have privacy management. And this is about consent management. Here is the thing. The law says that your visitors should be able to change consent when they need to. For example, when somebody comes to your website for the first time, they decide to opt in. It doesn't give you a license to just store cookies on their computers forever. It means they have made a preference and they should be allowed to change the preference at any time they want. And that's the point of consent or cookie management. And if you go to a website that implements it correctly, like I'm going to show you in a second, like this one, you will not only show the pop-up. If you allow all, for example, on the website, you will see a little icon that you can click to manage your consent. So it shows you what exactly have you consented to right now. So I've consented to vital, analytics, and marketing cookies. It also has a unique cookie consent identifier that I can use to manage my consent, and I can change my consent anytime I want by clicking on change consent. So if for some reason now I want to change my consent, I can do that. And this is a prime requirement from a consent management platform. Of course, Complyfi meets that. Plus, it also gives you data protection officer, which is an important part of GDPR compliance. If you're selling to Europe, for example, you need to be able to give people the access to manage the data. They should be able to make requests with your data protection officer. You need to make a public declaration about a data protection officer. It should be on your website. People should be able to access it, and people should be able to make requests to that data protection officer. So Complyfi gives you the capability to set up a DPO section on your website and give people the complete information they want, including the capacity to make a claim. So yes, people can make a claim on your website. Let me try to show you that. Here we go. I'm going to allow all and change consent. There is a go to DPO section. So when your customers come in, they can see information about your DPO and also send messages to the DPO from your website. That's what's required, and Complyfi gives you the power to comply with that. By the way, if you want to not show the DPO option, if you're operating in a jurisdiction or you have a separate setup for DPO and you don't want to show it to people, you can choose to not show it, and then people will not have access to go to the DPO section. Let's go to the top again. And finally, you have consent records. So Complyfi manages the consent record of every single visitors who comes to your site. It will keep the IP address. There will be a unique ID assigned to each consent, the permissions that the user chose to give, the OS, the browser, the screen size, and the date when they decided to give you the consent. You can find any consent record by just putting in a few letters from the search, for example, like this. Click on search, and you can see all the consents that have the details, that have the UID that you put in. That way, if somebody makes a claim, you will get the consent details from them, and you can then use it to find out what they wanted to tell you. You can also search by IP if you want to. There is also a complaint record. So whenever somebody makes a complaint with you through the consent management DPO platform, you will get it in here. You will also receive an email. This is how the email looks. So you will know exactly what the customer said. This is just a test one right now, of course. So that way you will be able to adhere to the GDPR, to the cookie compliance, to the law that requires you to have a data protection officer. All of those would be covered. Plus, putting consent management, putting comprehensive compliance on your website is as easy as then copying a pixel code, just like you copy a Facebook pixel or a Google Analytics code, and putting it on your website. So just copy the code with the click of this button and paste it just above the body tag of your website. And that's all you need to do to create a complete consent management experience for you without having to do a lot of programming, a lot of computation, because Complyfi just makes consent management easy so that you can run your ads and you can comply with all the local laws globally. By the way, Complyfi automatically puts you in compliance with Google's Consent Mode V2, Microsoft UET, all done by itself. You don't need to change a thing. You don't need to do a thing. It just sends the right signals to these websites, to these providers automatically. So this was Complyfi. I hope you like the software, and if you get it, I will see you inside. This is Cyril Gupta, your best friend in the business, signing off.
All right. Thank you, Cyril. Cyril, we're going to call you back in just a minute, so don't go anywhere. I am going to give you a break in a couple of minutes when I have some really, really interesting stuff to tell folks, but don't go too far because we're going to be going over the key features, and this is still your expertise. If you could explain the automation features for everybody, Cyril.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Todd, I think you need to bring back your screen because right now I see a black screen. So probably you need to reshare your screen.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
Awesome. I see the compliance training notification now. Here we go. Awesome. The automation. So here is the thing, guys. Do you want to work manually? Or you want to let technology handle your stuff? So the law says that you have to inform your customers about all the cookies that you're using, And you must also classify the cookies. So, customers can easily turn off or on things like, do they want to opt in for analytics? Do they want to opt in for marketing? And there are some cookies that are absolutely required to have your website running. Let's say you allow them to log in, then every single website that lets people log in, stores that information about the people in the cookie so that they can continue to use their website. So all of these things are required to to be managed by the consent management system, and Complyfi does that on autopilot. So it has a cookie database that tells it, hey, this is the cookie. What is this cookie for? Is it marketing? Is it analytics? So we have classified a lot of cookies already for you, and you don't need to worry about it, because the first thing that Complyfi does when you add a website to Complyfi is scan your website and check what cookies you're using, automatically detect them and classify them so that you don't have to worry about it, because Complyfi will take care of the classification for you and automate the entire thing. So that's the first thing. You don't need to work on trying to identify, okay, this cookie is marketing, this cookie is analytics. Complyfi does that on full autopilot. Also, it goes deep into your website. So if you have the pro version, it goes to 250 different pages just to make sure that it doesn't miss anything. And if you got the elite version, it goes to over 100 pages just to make sure that nothing is missed and every single cookie is grabbed and stored just the way it should be. And there are also periodic rescans. So, sometimes you change a thing, maybe you put in a new widget, maybe you put in a new system, then Complyfi needs to know about it. So either you can go in and get a rescan done, or it automatically rescans your website anyway periodically, just to get all of the fresh cookies in and make sure you stay in compliance without having to make a constant effort. So that's what automation was about.
All right, Cyril. Very, very good. Thank you for that clarification. I really appreciate it. Now, we have several other features. For instance, so many features coming up. Hold on to your hats. You know what? Before I talk about the templates, I want to remind you we have a contest coming up later in this very broadcast. All right. And that contest is going to mean some big bucks for you if you purchase. And look, you gotta kind of pay attention to what I've been saying or what I've been showing, because I'm going to ask a question about that later on in this webinar. All right, so about the ready-made templates, we have a bunch in there. So you could choose from a variety of different template designs and make your cookie consent look the way that you want to. You could toggle the designs with just one click. You could change the design and see a live preview of your consent pop-up. So that's very convenient. We also have fully customizable consent pop-ups, a unique identifier for user consent. Complyfi keeps a record of the users, and this was discussed by Cyril in the demo. So it keeps a record of the user's consent selection with a unique identifier as required. That's going to come in handy if you need it. It allows consent modifications, which we spoke of in the demo as well. That means that visitors can view their consent setting and they could change it at any time. It's freedom for them to change what they've consented to. We include that. You could change pop-ups for different regions. Now remember, early in this very webinar, I said that it is different country by country by country. And you could show different pop-ups depending on what country they're in. And you could customize the appearance and data collection. You could collect only the data that is allowed and required in each one of those countries. So that's really important to keep in mind. It's also multilingual. AI is doing this. It works with all languages globally. No matter what language your customers speak, Complyfi supports it. AI-powered translation. Translate your policy from English over to another language with just one click. Cyril, I'm going to bring it back for this one, the retargeting support. Explain more about this.
Absolutely. So, we talked a lot about Google Consent Mode V2, and, it's not just Google, it's Microsoft too. Microsoft already has something called Microsoft UET. It's the same thing as Google Consent Mode V2. Basically, anyone that does retargeting, and we're talking about Quora, we're talking about Reddit, we're talking about Amazon. Every single website, they need to be sure that they have the right permission from the customer to be retargeted. So this is the thing. Now, all of you guys who have been complaining, well, the marketers never complained about this, but users did, about seeing ads on Google, for example. Sometimes, it's so uncanny that they're even thinking about a product and it just kind of pops up. Well, that was all due to retargeting, because Google has extremely good retargeting. That's why Google ads have been so profitable for me and for everyone else who use them. Similar technologies everywhere, Amazon, Facebook, everywhere, the same tech. The thing is, they can't do it anymore unless they have the consent. And how do they discover on your website whether they have the consent to market to your customers or not? So when you want to sell on Google or on any other platform that does retargeting, that shows your ads to the people who visited your website. That's the simplification. Retargeting is being able to show your ads to the people who come to your website, and it's very, very powerful technique. I've used it all across the years, and it brings me insane results. So you want to be doing that, but now you can do that only if your website sends the signals back to these platforms and tells them, hey, this person has agreed to the marketing part of it, and you can retarget them, and this person does not agree, so please don't show my ad to them, because they're going to be upset and we'll have a problem if they complain. So all of that is managed, and Google will only retarget, Microsoft will only retarget, and other platforms will only retarget if they get this signal. So this technology, the consent mode, is used by different names by different platforms, but it's pretty much all the same all over. If you want to reach out to the people who come to your website, show them your ad and get them back to your website buying, you can only do it with the right tech.
It's interesting, Cyril, because in our neck of the woods, the people that we know, almost all of them do retargeting. And I can't imagine how many would be interested to know that their retargeting ads are not being shown. I mean, it's just so important, retargeting, that whole idea. It is just so lucrative. It also includes high-speed performance, Complyfi, reliable performance, perfect uptime to make sure your website is always secure. Now, how do we know that that's true? Well, the sign-up page for this webinar that you went to uses Complyfi. Did you notice how quickly that site came up? Boom, it was there. High-speed servers, your website does not slow down due to Complyfi. Everything is speedy. There's no more complicated, headache-inducing setup with this, all right? With Complyfi, it's automated. It's one click and it's easy. There's no more wasting money on retargeted ads that don't get seen. With Complyfi, you ensure your retargeting reaches your desired audience. There's no more stressing about complying with ever-changing laws and regulations, because with Complyfi, feel assured that you and your client sites are simply compliant. It's as simple as that. With Complyfi, you'll never have to worry about consent, compliance, management again for you or for your clients. And better yet, not only will you be able to ensure compliance for your own websites and sell services to others, you could actually sell Complyfi itself. So go beyond selling this as a service. We're offering you a special package deal today that's going to allow you to actually sell the software. So this just keeps getting better and better. Remember, I said this is kind of a boring topic, but suddenly, do you see? It's not boring anymore. This is becoming a gold mine. Today, for all of you attending this special launch webinar, we do have one amazing deal where everything is put together. Let's take a look at everything that we're basically offering you today. We normally would sell this piecemeal, but the deal that we've put together is so good, we're going to offer you that instead. But it will include each one of the basic product plus the upgrade. So Complyfi Elite is the ultimate consent management platform, of course, with GDPR covered, DMA covered, Google Consent Mode, V2 compliance. You get it on 3 websites, 20,000 visitors per website per month, but actually you get a whole lot more because we're also including Complyfi Pro. All the features are unlocked. The Pro version of Complyfi gives access to all the premium features without limitations. What does that mean? It means customizable themes, 100 websites, 50,000 visitors per website per month, and 2 years of free upgrades. So as things change, you can keep up with the times. It also includes the commercial license. Now that means that you could sell this to others. But we're not done because there's another upgrade we're including. Actually, there's two. It's Complyfi, the done for you service. Now, this is just too unbelievable because when you see the price, remember I said it's too low? When I say that, I'm not kidding. It means that I looked at the price after I let my team discuss with Cyril what was going to be charged, and then I get caught off guard. So that's what happened here. And one of the reasons I was caught off guard at the price being so low is because you get 10 websites made compliant by our team. We do it for you. What do you think of that? Just let me know in the question answer box if that's as surprising as it sounds, that you actually get a done for you option included where everything is done for you. The sites are fixed for you. You don't even have to touch them. Yeah, never seen that before, says Stephen. Yes, amazing. Unheard of. Hey, you guys are answering. Jay is also in Vermont. Hi, Jay. Very good. Okay. So we're also including the Converti Pro. Now, this is the last one. Actually, no, we have a reseller version too, but the Converti Pro is something I can't explain as well as Cyril can because that's a previous product we've done together and it's really good, but I'll never get it right. So, Cyril, come on back and explain this upgrade that's also being included in this underpriced package.
Hi, Todd. Thanks for bringing me back in. All right. So Converti is I would say it's a collection of so many different mini apps or so many different apps that help you sell better. So if you've got a website that has people coming in and you want to sell something, you want to book an appointment, have them come to your store, or if you got an e-com website where you want to sell products right from the website itself, you need to make sure that you do everything to connect with the customer, to motivate them to take the action that you want them to take. Well, they call them conversions. Whether you want them to fill in a form and tell them, hey, can you please provide me your name, phone number, and email. So you can do any of that, but Converti has many systems that just make people, do it better and do it more often. So it's kind of like a mind hack. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have been to my website. I use Converti on all of my websites, and every single day I get about 15, 20, 30 leads absolutely free of cost from it, and I generate a lot of sales from it from my own website. So this is the same tech that I'm using on my own website to drive conversions. So it's got 40 different conversion boosters of every single kind. So maybe you've seen something like an exit pop before, which is just one, or you've seen a lead form pop up which shows you, hey, you're here, nice to see you, why don't you sign up to my newsletter? Well, that's included. You might have seen something called use proof, where you tell people this person from Vermont, for example, is also buying or has purchased the product, and that's also included. So it's like a complete compilation of every single conversion hack out there to help you get better conversions. You can embed videos on your website showing people things in based on what they react to or what they work with. Basically, it covers everything. There is nothing in the market that has more conversion tools, more conversion systems beyond it. Like we're talking about 40. So if you've been paying for things like exit pop or use proof or anything like that, or even you've got only 2 or 3 of them, well, it's time to just get Converti, which is a part of this package, and have everything available to you. I'm sure your customers would love to have that. So if you're talking about local businesses, they would love things like this. If you talk about your e-com businesses, they need things like this. For example, one of the widgets is a contest pop-up. So you can show a contest, people can roll a little dice, or do a little bit of I think it's a wheel. They can roll a wheel and they can get discounts, and also lots of crazy things are in there. to help you get more conversions, to help you get more buyers and more leads. So whatever your objective is, whatever kind of conversions you want, Converti has the right tools for it. Well, I hope I made sense. Now, there are 40 of them, so I will have to take quite a lot more time if I was to talk about every single one, but I hope everyone has a sense of the potential
You
of this
gave us the idea, and we have such an important one coming up after this that's also included, the actual reseller. You get 70 Complyfi licenses that you can resell. You can resell the software. Over $8,000 in value is right there. Now, these are perpetual licenses. You could sell them anytime you want. Customers get the latest version of the software. Now, Cyril, tell us any restrictions. When is the date that the resale can be made? What is the price that folks can charge?
Absolutely. So the first thing I want to tell you guys, if you've used any of my products, you would have noticed that they just keep being in maintenance. So I'm still selling the products that I made 12 years ago. And Todd, of course, you know about all of those because you were the guy who did my first product with me. So about 12 years ago. So that's the kind of systems we have in place. So when Todd says perpetual licenses, he actually means it, because once you get the reseller version, you get those licenses and you can sell them today, you can sell them next week, next month, or next year. We don't restrict you. You can sell them anytime. They will always be alive. The software is not going to be obsolete, and you're going to be able to make your investment back over and over and over all through these months. So just take it easy, sell it, and make every single license count. That's number one. Now secondly, what kind of limitations we have? Well, if you got this deal that we're going to give you today, your customers will be able to even get the pro version. So it's a crazy good deal. We don't have the reseller license at all after the launch, so this is an important thing. Right now we are doing a special sale. I always do this when I create a new product. I do a 7-day special sale where I bring it to the market, and after that everything goes to recurring. But the sad thing is the reseller license just goes away. I don't offer it anymore. So only you guys who are on this webinar have the best privilege to grab this, to be able to sell the product and benefit from selling the latest version. So whenever your customers buy, they always get the latest version. So you will never be selling them an old software, right? So that's the second thing. Now, when can you sell it? Well, right after our launch is over, we're going to have a cooling off period of 4 days, and right after 4 days after our launch, you can be in business and sell the product while it's still hot.
How about the price? Is there a minimum price?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for reminding me, Todd. I actually should have gotten to it. So minimum price, well, we don't restrict you from selling it at a price that is higher than our price. But here are two things that I want to tell you. After this sale, we're going to go to recurring. So the only way to get Complyfi for our customers is going to be, for them to pay us a monthly or a yearly recurring. Second thing, we will have a price which is a lot higher than we have today. So your customers can get a one-time account. So the first thing, we let you sell a one-time account if you want to, but you can also sell them a recurring. The only thing is, don't price it below 50% than what we are selling at, but you can price it above, no problem at all. And I'll tell you exactly the perfect strategy to price it above us. So we're going to be selling this, for example, the elite version at $67 a year minimum, and the pro version will be an upgrade which will sell at a minimum of $97 per year, and that comes to a total of $164. Now that's what we're going to charge people every single year. Now your license, you can even sell it at $250 one time or $200 one time, and that would still be a bargain for the customers, because this is something they will use year after year. And LTDs easily have a multiple of 2x to 3x. Mostly 3x is what we have. Lifetime deals, they always have a 3x multiple of the yearly cost, so you can actually make a lot more money back. Plus, in the pro version or in the reseller version, you also have the facility to not show our banner. Some of the customers were asking me on chat, will you show the powered by Complyfi banner if we sell? How can we, so that we can sell it by own name? Well, the good news is you can put in your own name there. If you got the pro version, you won't have to show the powered by Complyfi. You can say, for example, powered by Greg or powered by Tonya, whoever, you can put in your company's name or your personal name. That's perfectly fine. So that's also a part of this deal. So I hope the pricing makes sense to you. how you can get the pricing. You can beat us at the game. You can charge a recurring, or you can sell it at one time. We allow that. Just don't price it less than 50% of what we are selling at. That's what we ask of you.
I like that. Powered by Sunny, powered by Randall, powered by Leo, powered by Russ, powered by Jay, powered by CD, powered by Benjamin. I'm sorry, I'm going through my question answer box here and picking you guys off. Isn't that funny? All right, so all the things we just showed you, all the upgrades that's included in this all-inclusive deal, guess what? I'm going to summarize them for you so it becomes really easy to comprehend. The launch special all-inclusive deal is everything you just saw. That's Complyfi Pro, Complyfi Done For You, which I still can't believe, Converti Pro, those are all those little things that Cyril went over, and the Complyfi Reseller. All that's included in this very special all-inclusive deal. And that means that you get 100 websites covered. You get unlimited daily visitors per website covered. It scans 250 pages per website. That's a lot. Unlimited AI translation, as we explained before. The 70 reseller licenses, of course. Now, with all those things all together, how much do you think that this package deal would run? I'm not going to do one of those things that's, do you think it's $4,995? No. I just want to know what you would think off the bat for all those things in the package, because this is a very, very special deal that these guys, my team behind my back, priced too low. All right. Russ, good guess. Russ guessed $297. And the answer is $189 one time. Just $189. Now, on the inside, is there anything else that folks will run into, Cyril? Is there a bump for extra reseller licenses? What is on the inside? Cyril, come on back.
Sorry, guys, I was muted and I was speaking. So, just a moment of goofiness. So, yeah, absolutely. We do have some goodies for everyone. And I know a lot of you guys are excited about selling it and making that money back. And I know a lot of you guys have been selling my products. I get a lot of feedback and questions from customers who have bought the reseller versions of my products in the last few months and have made a lot of money from it. So, yes, we want to make you as much money as possible. So you have an option to buy a bump. So that gives you 140 more licenses. So in this particular package, you get 70 licenses, but you can bump it up to 210 total licenses if you want to, and just buy the bump for that. And if you want more than that, you want even more than that, well, buy the bump over and over. I've got customers in my last webinar, Todd, who bought 4 of those bumps and walked away with nearly 400 licenses, I think 500 plus, and they've been selling it, crazy all over Facebook since then. So yeah, you can totally do that. If you want to buy multiple bumps, you have an option for that, and we will give you the link to that. Now, there is also another bump for unlimited. So Todd told you about how you can have 50,000 visitors a month. Well, why go for 50 when you can go infinite? If you got a popular website like a popular blog, or you got a popular e-com website, you are or you want to serve a lot of customers, right? You want to have a lot of customers. You don't need to worry about the scale of their business. We have an unlimited deal, so we'll be totally unlimited for 1 year if you get it, and that's also available as a bump. So I think that's $67. It's very, very affordable right now, and frankly, quite a giveaway. So it applies all across your accounts. That's the good thing, right? So you don't need to worry.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I know that you guys have been working with your machinations behind my back on getting the most unbelievable deals for people. So it's $189 one time. Then you also have the chance to go totally unlimited as an extra, and you also have the chance to purchase additional reseller licenses. How do you do this? You go to toddsuggests.com/Complyfi now. toddsuggests.com/Complyfi now. And if you run into any trouble, ask in the question answer box. We'll help you out. This special all-inclusive deal, of course, included the Pro, it included the Done For You, it included the Converti Pro, it included the reseller license. And I mean, the way they were able to do this, I don't know. I still can't believe that you guys have put this together. Now, in a couple of minutes, we're going to do a contest, so don't go anywhere. But I just want to tell folks real quickly, we also have some bonuses for you just for getting Complyfi. Those bonuses include compliance proposal template. All right. Now that's going to make your agency, if you want to call yourself that, a professionally crafted proposal. It's going to make it you look even more professional to showcase your services and close deals faster. We also have the client outreach email templates again, so you can turn yourself into a full-blown agency. These are proven high converting email scripts to reach businesses needing compliance services, so you're not just left out in the cold not knowing what to do. And we also have client closing guide. Now that is a structured sales approach to position compliance as a must-have and handle any objections effectively, so that when you approach any sort of business, whether it's an online or an offline business, you'll be able to, of course, negotiate this deal. And it's at toddsuggests.com to get it. So /Complyfi now.